So in the light of Sony getting called out for being hard to work with, I wanted to talk about Phil Spencer and Xbox and how he mentioned they learned a lot from the Xbox One generation, and how that launch shaped them into the company they are today. So let's get into the mistakes made by Xbox and what they did to fix everything, because Phil Spencer talked about this and it is very interesting. There's a lot here and it's pretty awesome, so let's get into it. Hey everyone, thanks for stopping by and checking out the video. Remember to hit that subscribe button and that like button. The support is greatly appreciated. And if you want to be notified on future content, make sure to hit that small little bell icon. It helps out the channel a lot. So this is going to be a little bit of a different video where we talk about Xbox and the mistakes they made last generation, but also show how those mistakes shaped them into what they are today, which is a platform that is completely transformed into something completely different. And I'm not just talking about how Xbox changed from the first generation into the 360 generation and how big of a change that was. I'm talking about how Xbox utterly changed the way they do business and the way they support Xbox as a whole, which in turn changed the entire gaming industry as a whole. And this is coming off the fact that Phil Spencer admits to the mistakes they made in the Xbox One generation and how they really used that fuel from that console launch to help make them into what they are today. Now, I know this has been talked about before, but I wanted to make this video because Xbox is a platform I like to play on, but it's also a platform that really annoyed me last generation. So seeing it become something that we never even imagined it would be is a little humbling to say the least. But truly, I live by a saying, which is if you don't know your history, then you don't have a future. I know that's a little deep for a video game video, but it rings very true to Xbox and what they've continued to do this Xbox Series X generation. So let's first see what Phil Spencer and IGN had to say about the Xbox One generation and how it almost really did kill Xbox. Here's what's said. The challenges of the Xbox One era informs Xbox today. It is Xbox's 20th anniversary this year, and when asked about the journey that has led to the Xbox Series X era, and effectively the Phil Spencer era, the Xbox boss said that this journey began, surprisingly, with the Xbox One launch. Here's what Phil Spencer had to say about the launch of the Xbox One generation and what it meant for them as a whole. It was such a seminal moment for the team in checking what did we stand for? What did we want to be as we went forward, Spencer said on Unlocked. For the brand, it was a challenging year. There was a lot for us to learn. Okay, so the first thing I want to mention is that the launch of the Xbox One console was one of the worst launches I've ever seen. And there's been a couple of console launches that really got off on the wrong foot. Sony's PlayStation 3 was one of the worst launches the gaming industry ever saw. And with that, they refocused and decided to put the gamers and developers at the center of everything they did. It's what helped them really push the boundaries of the PS4 console. And with that success, they've gone into the PS5 generation with a lot of hype on their side. Yet for Xbox, there's a different story to this. They had the Xbox 360 generation, which launched awesomely and had so many great games attached to the console. They had the hardware, which was more powerful and at a better price tag. Yet over time, a lot of things started to chip away at their foundation. The hardware, while powerful, had a flaw that cost Microsoft a ton of money. They had no first-party studios that could bring out consistent games. And to top it all off, they closed out the generation with a lot of games that no one wanted to play. But worst of all, they got arrogant and decided to launch the Xbox One console as a device with a bunch of features instead of a device that plays games. It was a very bad look and ended up being a mistake that Xbox is still trying to fix today. And to be honest, it was a mistake that almost killed Xbox as a company and brand. There were very real talks within Microsoft that wondered why Xbox even existed and if they were going to move on from the gaming market. Because of these questions and the uncertainty that Microsoft had with Xbox, Xbox had to really change the way they did things. The launch of the Xbox One was a disaster, and they understood that they had to change, and it's something that the article and Phil Spencer himself mentions right here. The Xbox One launch was a struggle, and that infamous E3 presentation seemed to focus more on Xbox One as a confusing entertainment hub rather than a game console. But the Xbox Series X is positioning games front and center with tools like backwards compatibility and Game Pass. So much of what we are today is from that first year of the Xbox One, where we got a real cold dose of reality and focusing on not what the customers wanted, but what we thought we needed, Spencer says. But he notes today's Xbox team is much different and better positioned to meet the demands of the community. This is one of the most accurate explanations of what Xbox had to deal with during the Xbox One generation. Not only did they have a disaster E3 presentation that didn't focus on games at all, it also seemed like Xbox was trying to show gamers what they wanted them to want, which is the wrong way of doing things no matter what company you are a part of. You never dictate what the audience wants. It's the other way around. Gamers or customers always should demand what they want from a company that is providing them a service. And that's exactly what Phil Spencer says in this interview, where he says they didn't focus on what the customers wanted, but instead what they thought we needed. That's one of the most self-aware statements and one of the harshest statements that could be said about last generation's Xbox. Because for the longest time, Xbox wasn't listening to gamers and it didn't invest into the Xbox ecosystem. Yet with the Xbox Series X generation, it's completely different, and the way Xbox runs their business is night and day. We know about Game Pass and how it's the best deal in gaming, but what most people don't want to admit is that Xbox is putting the games front and center no matter what. Even their recent E3 presentation was games, games, and games. They didn't have a lot of people on stage talking about services. They just had a couple of people talk for a few minutes or two, and boom, it went right back into the games, which is exactly what we, the gamers, want. Xbox also doesn't care about console sales or sales numbers in general because they know that's such a small fraction of the income that comes into their platform. Instead, it's all about engagement and if gamers are staying on their platform and playing games on their platform, which is something that Phil Spencer says right here. One of Xbox's most successful features is Xbox Game Pass, a monthly subscription service where members can access a library of games on console, PC, and the cloud. But according to Spencer, the key metric for Xbox isn't whether or not a player is buying games or consoles, but if they're engaging with the Xbox platform. The number one metric that we can look at to see if our business is actually growing is, are people playing more on the platform? There's nothing about review scores, there's nothing about retail sales of consoles or retail sale of games. The number one sign that our platform is healthy and growing is actually engagement on the platform, Spencer says. To that end, this is what Game Pass is helping to grow, and as a result, Spencer says Xbox as a business is profitable. This is single-handedly the most important aspect of what Phil Spencer had to say about Xbox's history and its future. It's not the console sales that determine the platform's success or the game sales. It's about the engagement they have with the platform and if people are actually on there playing more games. Even reviews don't matter because those are subjective and only matter to people that love to be told what's good or what's bad. As a gamer, I usually play games myself and judge them on my own merit. So when Phil Spencer says that the number one thing that matters is engagement of a platform, I believe him. Because it shows that people are staying on your platform. They're playing games, spending money. It's all about them being around the platform and enjoying what they do on there in that ecosystem. Because at the end of the day, just like any other business, if people are sticking around and they aren't spending their time there, sooner or later, that's going to hurt your platform and it's going to hit your profits. But if people stick around and if people spend more time on a platform, they're far more willing to spend money on it, which is something that Game Pass has done for Xbox. It's kept people on the Xbox console and even on the Xbox platform with the PC Game Pass games. Because like Phil Spencer said, it's all about the gamers staying on their platform and playing more games. This is something that's been reported multiple times. If a person is on Game Pass playing games, those gamers tend to spend more money on the games they play. It's that simple. People love to support the things they enjoy. Much like me and every gamer I know, if we enjoy a product, we have no problem supporting it. And seeing how Game Pass is the best gaming product out there right now, it's easy for gamers to support it. It's that simple. Oh, and in case you missed it, Xbox Game Pass has grown and Spencer said it's Xbox's business is profitable. Because for some reason, people don't believe that, and they just have to ask that question. When Microsoft's throwing money at a service and the engagement of 20+ million subscribers isn't enough to tell us that. But I digress. Let's just say this changing of the guard, this different Xbox we're seeing is something I never thought we would see. But I'm glad it's changed, and I'm happy that they basically came out of the burning building and rose from the ashes like a phoenix, basically. Because it was grim for a while, but now with the new leadership and the self-awareness we're witnessing from Xbox, it's going to be a bright generation, and it's going to be filled with a whole lot of great games that we all get to enjoy, which will be on Game Pass day and date. Talk about a value. But enough of what I think of this generation. Let me know what you think about it. Are you surprised by Phil Spencer's honesty? What else could Xbox do to show they've changed? Is Game Pass a huge reason why they're still around? Do you think Xbox almost died last generation? Are you glad Xbox found new leadership? Go down below and let me know. And I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please hit that subscribe button and that like button. The support helps out the channel more than you know. And give me a follow on Twitter at Zalker87. I'm always on there talking games and sharing my latest videos. Plus, I love interacting with everyone there. So get on Twitter and let's talk about gaming. Also, follow me on Xbox Live. My gamertag is Zalker87, just like my channel name. See what games I'm playing, and let's compete in achievements for the month. So right now, I'm playing a bunch of strategy games. Warhammer's Age of Sigmar is such a good game. It is really hard. It is a roguelite strategy game, which is pretty cool. They're putting two genres together, strategy and roguelite, and mixing them together, which makes for a pretty challenging and fun game. When you beat a level, you move on and you go to the next level. But let's say you die or your champion dies. You have to start all the way at the beginning of the campaign. But you take all the material of the swords, spears, all these spells, or new characters that you've found in the game, you take them with you and you start all over with them. So you're not starting from scratch like Returnal, which I didn't really like. What you start off with is everything you've collected in the previous round, and you just move on and take them on with you, which I find great. So I've been playing a lot of that, plus a lot of Warhammer 40k games on my PC, which are all strategy. Talk about a lot of fun, and I love playing those strategy games because that's what I am. I'm a strategy fiend right now. But let me know what you're playing. Are you playing something on Xbox Game Pass? Are you playing something on your PC, on your PS5? Let me know down below because that's what we're here for. It's to talk games. And that's all for now. Thanks for watching, and until next time, remember, enjoy your gaming. Later.